We already learned how to display images that come directly from the Portable class library into our Android and iOS application. During this lecture, we're going to learn what tools to use to create platform-specific images, in this case for Android. And for this, we're going to be using an amazing tool that is called Android Asset Studio. And the link is in the resources for the lecture. And in this tool, you'll be able to create all sorts of assets of images for your Android application very easily. In this tool, you have access to a launcher icon generator, an app shortcut icon generator, even shapeshifters. The option that we want to select is the one that is called Action Bar and Tab Icon Generator, because right now we're going to be creating the icons for the action bar and the tab. Remember that on our application, we already have some add and save toolbar buttons, and that we have a tab that currently only displays text. If we want to display images, we can come here and create the images that we want. This tool even has some images or some icons that we can start using inside of our application. So we can start by searching for an add icon. We can select, for example, the first one. And below we have options for the name that we want to set. This one's actually good. And you can set the theme to be light or dark, or even set a custom theme. Because this is going to be on a bar that is blue in the case of our application, we want to set the dark theme so the icon is white. And once you have done that, you can click on See All to see all of the images that are going to be created. And we're going to touch on this a little bit in just a minute. And we're going to click on the Download Zip button at the top right corner. And we now have the one for the add. We can search one for save and leave the same settings. And these two are going to be icons for the toolbar items. The next three icons are going to be for the tabs. But still the tabs are going to be in a bar, in a blue bar inside of the application. So we need to keep the dark theme so the icons are white. And for this, we're going to need a history icon or maybe a home icon. This will do. You select it and you download it. We're also going to need a map and a user icon. Instead of user, we may search for person, and this icon should do. And these three new icons are going to be for each of the tabs inside of the application. Now that you have downloaded all of the icons that you have, we will have to extract all of these zip files so we can start adding all of these resources into the Visual Studio projects. So I have each and every one of the zip files in here, and I can extract them to have access to the icons that are inside of them. Once we have extracted them, we can open one of the folders, and you will see that there is another folder inside, and inside of this res folder, you see 5 different folders with 5 different names, very similar names, but each and every one of these is going to have the same icon, but in different sizes. And this is because these are 5 of the different resolutions that Android supports. We have for mid.per inch, high, extra high, extra extra high, and extra 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 high. So we have the resources for each of these resolutions. Now what we have to do is navigate to Visual Studio and start dragging these icons into the corresponding folders. So in Visual Studio, if you go to the Android project, you will see that in the resources folder, there are folders that are named very similarly. There is a drawable folder, there is a drawable HDPI, XHDPI, and XXHDPI. It's in these folders where you want to add the resources that you have just downloaded. So for example, for the first icon, that is the add icon, I can open the drawable HDPI folder, grab the file and drag it into the corresponding folder, in this case, the drawable HDPI. You may find one dialog like this one. You can click on OK, and the file is going to be added into the application. Once you have added it, you have to make sure that it is set as Android resource. It is probably going to be the default definition. Just make sure that you set the build action to Android resource. And so you will have to continue doing the same thing for the rest of the resolutions. We also have XHDPI, so we can drag to the XHDPI folder. go back to Visual Studio, click on OK on this dialog, and make sure that it is set as Android resource. There is also an XXHDPI folder in the Android project, so drag the corresponding icon. And finally, to the drawable folder, it's a good idea to add the MDPI. So I'm going to drag this small image into the drawable folder, click on OK, and so we're going to have an image in all 4 drawable folders. Now, you may think that since there are 4 different folders, 4 different resolutions to be supported, do we need to change the name of the folder that we're going to be using? Well, it turns out that Android is going to do the work for us. Because all of this start with drawable and then just have the definition of the DPI, Android, the project is going to be doing things for us. It's just going to evaluate the resolution of the phone where the application is going to run, and is going to use the resources that are inside of the corresponding folder. We do have to add all of the icons, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And once I have added all of the files, I will have different files that have the same name, but that are of different resolutions inside of each drawable folder. Now, it is important to tell you that you do not have to change the name, and you should not change the name, because it is through the name that Android is going to know which icon to use. We are later going to be setting the source to a particular name, and we won't have to specify in which folder it is. But it is important that no matter in which folder it is, depending to the resolution, the name stays the same. So when we reference this add icon, we just write drawable and the name of the file, and then Android is going to take care of the rest. The same file, but a different folder. So the name has to remain the same. Now that we have this then, in the next lecture, we're going to learn how to create the icons, but for iOS.